Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of my sort of reading challenges for the year that I haven't really talked that much about yet. So if you saw my 2019 reading plans, you'll have heard me mention this. You are probably aware, if you watch my channel a lot, that I have quite a large physical TBR. It's the majority of, if you can see where the cat bookends are, it's everything on that, below them on that middle shelf, and everything on this shelf is all physical owned TBR, and I have another couple of bookshelves as well that have physical owned TBR on them. So one of my goals for this year for reading is to reduce that substantially, and one of the ways of doing that is that I want to read or remove essentially all of the oldest books on my TBR. I started using Goodreads in 2014. A lot of my books were in storage at that point, so I have just over 30 books that were added to my Goodreads in 2014 that I haven't read yet, and I want to try and by the end of this year have no books that were added to my Goodreads in 2014 still on my TBR. So I'm going to go through what those books are and sort of what my plan is, hopefully, to get through them. I'm actually going to start with a slight success. I started planning this in January that I was going to do this, but now nearly at the end of March, and so far I have read one book that was among the oldest books on my TBR. This is Journey to the Centre of the Earth by Jules Verne. So I read this in January. I did quite enjoy it. I'm not keeping it, I'm not going to reread it, so it's going to be unhauled soon. But that is the only one that I've read so far. So I'm going to go through these books that actually, starting with the ones that were more recently added. I'm not sure if I will actually get through all of these. I'm not going to talk too much about what these books are either, because most of them I don't actually know what they're about, because I've not read them yet. That's the whole point. So without further ado, I'm just going to go through what the books are. The last book that I added to my TBR in 2014 that I haven't read yet is called The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. It's a Man Booker Prize winner, apparently, and an international number one bestseller. I don't remember what it's about. I got it in a charity shop, I think. Yeah, so that's that one. This one is a former library book. This is called The Misbegotten by Katherine Webb. I picked it up because she has the same surname as me. Literally, that is why. And again, I don't know what it's about. It seems to be about a missing woman. Anyway, so I thought the cover looked quite interesting as well. Anyway, so that's that one. Next, I think I got this one in a library sale as well, but I think it was a donated one rather than one that they'd actually had in their catalogue. So this is called Sweets by Tim Richardson. This is the non-fiction about the history of sweets. So it sounds like it could be quite fun. And then I've got a couple of books I was given for my birthday that year. They're Christian books. They're both sort of quite famous theological texts. So we've got The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis and Dark Night of the Soul by St John of the Cross. So these are both books that I clearly intended to read when I first started my theology masters, and I didn't get around to them yet. So that's those two. Oh, here's another one from a library sale. So this is called The Confessions of Catherine de' Medici by C.W. Gortner. So this is a historical fiction about Catherine de' Medici and the Medici family who ruled in Italy for a large portion of the sort of 15th, 16th, 17th centuries. So I quite like historical fiction. Next, this one I've actually owned a lot longer, but as I say, I only started using Goodreads in 2014. So this is Lucky Man by Michael J. Fox, which is his memoir, which I think he wrote it shortly after he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Yeah, I've been meaning to read this for a long time and obviously not got around to it yet. Next we have another memoir. This is My Life as a Traitor by Zarah, Garahramani. This one I'm actually aiming to read this month. I don't know if I'll get to it this month or the beginning of next month, but yeah, it's a memoir of survival in Tehran's brutal Evin prison. So that's that one. Next we have a couple more Christian, sort of popular Christian teaching ones. So we've got Culture of Honour by Danny Silk, Imagine Church by Neil Hudson, and The Air I Breathe by Louie Giglio. So these are all sort of devotional about, well, these two are about church culture, and this one is more about a sort of a devotional text about like Christian living. So yeah, I'm gonna start one of them this month, I think. I haven't definitely decided. Next we have, what's it called? Pals, Girls and Monty Bodkin and Bachelors Anonymous by P.G. Wodehouse. These are, I think they're Reader's Digest texts. As a whole, I have a whole box of books and these nice editions that my parents rescued from a jumble sale for me. So, and they've got nice sprayed edges as well. And this was the first one that I was going to try and read from that box, and I clearly haven't read it yet. Okay, the next 4, I'm actually taking off my TBR after I've finished filming this video. So these are Black Trillium, Blood Trillium, Sky Trillium and Lady of the Trillium by a combination of Marion Bradley, Julian May and Andre Norton. So the first one was written by all 3 of them, and then the others were written by individuals of that trio. So this was a series that my friend gave me. There are 6 books in the series and I don't have 2 of them. These are also have been on, or the first one has been on Book Death Row since last summer. So I sat down earlier this month and tried to read it, and it is not good. I managed to get through the prologue and a little bit into the first chapter, and it was just so info dumpy that, like, the first chapter was about like this battle and this kingdom falling, and it should have been really exciting, but then they just kept dumping boring info in, and I don't have time for it. So I'm unhauling all of these in the summer when I do my next unhaul, and these are coming off the TBR now, but they were on there, which is why I wanted to include them in this video. So this next book is currently on Book Death Row as well. This is called Sisterland by Curtis Sittenfeld. This again was from a library sale. It's about twins that have some sort of twin power thing going on that it sounds like it could be quite interesting, so I might try and read that one soon. Next we have Lars Orchestra Saves the World by Alexander McCall Smith. This is a standalone book that he's written, not part of one of his series. I think it's set during the Second World War, and it sounds like it could be quite fun. His books are generally, they're quite comforting reads, so yeah, so looking forward to trying to read that one soon. There's quite a lot here. Next we have Enigma by Robert Harris. So I'm a bit hit and miss with Robert Harris. I really loved Fatherland when I read that, which is his take on the whole what if Germany had won the Second World War trope. This one is about Bletchley Park, so I'm quite intrigued to read it, because I find Bletchley Park fascinating, so really keen to read that. But I have a couple of his other books I have really not enjoyed, so we'll see. But yeah, that should be quite good. Then we've got Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. This is fairly classic and my dad thought I'd really enjoy it, so yeah, looking forward to reading that one soon. I keep saying that, like, realistically, how many of these books am I actually going to read soon? Right, next we have The Confidential Agent by Graham Greene. So again, Graham Greene can be a bit hit and miss as an author for me. I've loved a couple of his books and not enjoyed a couple of others, but this one's quite short, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through it. Next we have My Last Duchess by Daisy Goodwin. Daisy Goodwin is now better known for being the screenwriter for the Victoria TV series starring Jenna Coleman about Queen Victoria. So this was one of her earlier books. I got this from a charity shop, and yeah, that's that one. And then we have another sort of classic literature. This is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I don't really know what it's about, but yeah, it's meant to be a classic, I don't know. And then we've got The Scapegoat by Daphne du Maurier. So Daphne du Maurier is one of my all-time favourite authors. I actually saw a TV adaptation of this, I don't know, early 2010s? I can't remember. Anyway, so about two men who've never met before but have like a very similar looking, and they swap lives. Yeah, quite looking forward to reading that because it's long enough ago that I don't really remember too much about the story from when I saw it on TV. So that's that one. Right, last little pile, so we're nearly there. Next we have Barnaby Rudge by Charles Dickens. So I've got these lovely little old editions that I found somewhere, but they feel really fragile. Illustrated as well. It's not among Dickens's more famous novels, so I don't really know what these are about, but I'm quite looking forward to those. And then we've got two Agatha Christie's on there. So we've got The Murder on the Links, which is the second Poirot novel, so I need to try and get a hold of the first one before I read that because I want to try and read them in order. And then we've got The Secret Adversary, which is, I think, the first in the Tommy and Tuppence books, but I will check that. And then we've got a book. This is a sequel, and it's been a long time since I read the first one in the series. So this is Secret She Left Behind by Diane Chamberlain. The first one is called Before the Storm. So I might have to reread Before the Storm so I can read this one. I actually think I bought this one first and then found out it was a sequel after I bought it. So I remember the first one being really good though, so I'm looking forward to getting back into that series. So I've got another 2 books from a series here by Terry Brooks. So we've got Magic Kingdom for Sale and The Black Unicorn. I haven't definitely decided if I'm going to read these or not. I might put them on Death Row in the next round of Death Row and try a chapter of them and then make a decision. So these were given to me at the same time by the same friend who gave me the Trillium books. So we'll see how that goes. And then we're nearly there. Last couple. Oops. Try not to knock them all over. So then we have Remembrance by Teresa Breslin. So this is about the First World War. Again, it's quite short, so I quite like novels about sort of wartime stories. So I think this one's about nurses, but then I'm assuming just from the picture on the front looks like a nurse. So I don't know. And then we have got another historical fiction. This is The People's Queen by Honora Bennett. So this is set in the 14th century. It features Geoffrey Chaucer and is about the royal court in England at the time. So I quite like historical fiction, so hopefully we'll enjoy that one. And then the last one is probably the one that I'm most looking forward to reading. Again, it's a sequel, and again I think I bought the second one not knowing it was a sequel and I had to buy the first one. So this is The Embers of Heaven by Alma Alexander. The first book is called The Secrets of Jinshay, and I read that a few years ago, so I'm probably going to be rereading that one before I start reading this one, but I'm going to try and get to this soon, so I'm going to try and reread The Secrets of Jinshay within the next month or so that I can read this the following month. This is historical fantasy set in China, I believe. Can't remember. But the first one, I remember really loving the first one, so I think it's the second one is set a few hundred years later, not a few years later, a few hundred years later, but picks up on the themes from the first book. So really looking forward to picking that back up. So there are 33 currently on my Goodreads TBR. That was 33 books that are currently on my Goodreads TBR that I added to it in 2014. 4 of those I am going to remove now. So that'll leave me 29 to try and read in the rest of the year. So I won't definitely read all of them. Most of these are books that I actually really do want to read. There are a couple that I'm not definitely sure on that, as I mentioned, I'll probably put them on the next round of Death Row, and then I will make a decision within the next year of whether I'm actually going to read them or not. But I need to be a bit more proactive, as so far I've only managed to read one. And so I think so we're, March now, so that's 9 months left, 29 books, that's roughly 3 a month, if I'm going to get through them all. There's some quick mental maths for you there. So yeah, you'll see I'm doing a little update when I do my wrap up each month of how many books I've read towards different challenges, so I will be mentioning these books as well when I manage to read them. So that's it for today. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if you're interested in reading any of them, particularly the ones I'm not sure about reading. If you have read them, let me know if they're any good. And yeah, so that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!